In a small German town, strange occurrences begin to happen after two children go missing. Secrets are unearthed, and a web of interconnected relationships is revealed. As time travel and alternate realities come into play, the residents of the town must confront their own past mistakes to prevent a catastrophic future. In the end, the question is, which show is this? In a small town, a family moved into a new house. They were thrilled with their new home until they noticed something strange. Blood started to drip from the taps, staining the porcelain sink red. At first, they thought it was just rusty pipes, but the blood continued to flow day and night. They tried to leave, but the doors wouldn't budge. The family was trapped, with the walls slowly closing in on them. And then they saw the message written in blood on the wall: "You're never leaving." Will they be able to escape the House of Horrors before it's too late? Question: have you ever experienced anything strange in your own home? A group of friends are on a road trip when they accidentally hit a man. They panic and decide to hide the body in the woods. But as they continue their trip, strange things begin to happen. They hear footsteps, whispers, and see shadows following them. One by one, the friends start to disappear, and it becomes clear that they are being hunted by something that won't rest until it gets revenge. In the end, only one friend is left to face their fate. A woman was home alone, sitting on her couch, watching TV. Suddenly, she heard a loud thud from upstairs. She cautiously walked up the stairs to investigate, and as she reached the top, the door to the attic creaked open. A cold breeze swept down the stairs, and she saw two glowing eyes staring back at her from the darkness. The eyes slowly crept closer and closer, and the woman screamed in terror. The question is, what do you think was in the attic? A woman was home alone, watching TV when she heard a knocking at the door. She hesitated to open it, but the knocking persisted. When she finally opened the door, there was nobody there. She went back to watching TV, but the knocking started again, this time louder and more urgent. When she opened the door a second time, she saw a pair of glowing eyes in the darkness. She slammed the door shut and ran to lock all the doors and windows, but the knocking continued, louder and more persistent than ever. She realized with horror that the knocking was coming from inside the house. As the clock struck midnight, Sarah sat alone in her bedroom scrolling through her phone. Suddenly, she heard a faint whisper behind her. She spun around to see nothing, but the feeling of being watched lingered. Trembling, she got up and checked the locks on her doors and windows, but they were secure. Just as she sat back down, she heard the whisper again, only this time it was louder. She turned around to see a ghostly figure hovering behind her. Its eyes glowed red as it let out a blood-curdling scream. Sarah tried to run, but the figure was too fast, chasing her through the house as it let out inhuman wails. She finally collapsed in the hallway, only to realize the figure had disappeared. But as she caught her breath, she heard the whisper again, and this time it was right next to her ear. Anna wakes up in the middle of the night and hears a loud thud from downstairs. She grabs her phone and flashlight and goes to investigate. As she reaches the bottom of the stairs, she sees a dark figure standing in the living room, holding a bloody knife. It turns to face her, and she recognizes it as her husband, who was supposed to be out of town. He smiles wickedly and says, "Anna, I'm home." She heard a knock on the door. She opened it and saw a man holding a knife. He smiled and said, "Hello, I'm your new neighbor. Can I come in?" She slammed the door and ran to the phone. She dialed 911 and waited for the operator to answer. But instead of a voice, she heard a knock on the door. She looked at the phone and saw that it was dead. She screamed as the door burst open and the man entered. He said, "Sorry, I cut the phone line. Now let's get to know each other better." As he entered the abandoned cabin in the woods, he felt a shiver down his spine. The air was thick with a musty scent of decay. Suddenly, he heard a faint whisper in the darkness. As he approached the source of the sound, he saw a ghostly figure lurking in the shadows. It was the ghost of a woman who died in the cabin years ago. She warned him to leave before it was too late, but it was already too late. The doors slammed shut, and the cabin began to shake violently. He was trapped with the vengeful spirit, with no hope of escape. In the dimly lit bookstore, a young woman stumbled upon an old book with an ominous aura. Despite the warning from the store owner, she purchased it and took it home. As she began to read, strange things started to happen. Whispers echoed throughout the room, and shadows danced across the walls. The pages seemed to come alive, and the words twisted and contorted into incomprehensible messages. She couldn't stop reading, but the more she read, the more her mind slipped away. Eventually, she vanished, leaving only the cursed book behind.